Hello, this is Wendy, and today is week 4 in my 52-week series on creating a hands-free business that also makes you financially free. Today I would like to talk to you about time mapping. Well, at least that's what I call it, where you map and plot your time so that you know you've got enough time to do everything you want to. One of the big mistakes that I often see people making when they're thinking about how to change gear in their lives, to do something new, to take on a new business venture, or to maybe drive something forward that they're passionate about, is that they fail to find the time in their calendar or in their diary when they can actually fit that activity in. So today I'd like to share with you something very simple, but something that's been really effective for me, and I'm still working on it. I'm not the best always at managing my time. I try and pack too much into my day. I know I fall into that trap. And if you can relate to that, if you're the sort of person that tends to pack too much into your day, then I think time mapping might be a tool that you could find really useful as well. So how does it work? Well, first of all, it's really important that you have a tool that synchronises with your phone. I stopped using a paper diary about 7 or 8 years ago. I used to use a Filofax, but I found that I would leave it under the car seat or leave it on a train or leave it lying around the house, and I couldn't find it. And of course nowadays we all have our phones in our pockets, don't we? So using your phone and with a tool that synchronises with your online laptop or PC, I think you'll find that is the most efficient and effective way of having a tool that you can use for time mapping. Now, I use Google Calendar. I think it's a fantastic free tool. Not only does it help me to plot my time, but it also helps me to see what my team is doing, because you can share calendars. So Google Calendar is a really, really useful tool when you're running a business, and you may want to explore that further. But I have the Google app on my phone, so I can immediately look at my calendar on my phone, and I can look at it on my laptop, which I've got here to show you. Now, when it comes to time mapping, there are various different tools and different approaches that you can use. One of the suggestions that I would make is to start by plotting a week or 2 weeks in your calendar, in your online calendar, exactly what you do. So not just appointments that you have coming up, not just things in the diary that you need to make sure you get done, but actually how do you spend your time. So what you'll find of 3 or 4 hours when you're doing emails, or an hour when you're taking phone calls, or half an hour when you're having your lunch. And over a period of a week or a couple of weeks, you'll see a pattern emerging. Now, once you've done that 2 weeks time mapping exercise, what I'd like you to do is to then start thinking about how you would like your life to be. So go back over those 2 weeks and have a look and see where you spend a bit too much time doing something and too little time doing something else. So for example, this year, one of my focuses is on exercise, making sure that every day, apart from maybe 1 day a week, I have some form of physical exercise. That's partly because I've got a bit of a back problem, so it helps my back, but also because I want to make sure I sort of remain at peak fitness. Now, if I'm going to keep up with that, with a busy work schedule and other commitments that I have, the only way I can do that is by plotting it, by mapping it in my diary. So on my Google Calendar, it shows where I'm doing Pilates, where I'm going for a run, where I'm going for a swim, and I put that into my calendar. That way I know that A, I've got to make that appointment with myself, but B, it will happen. And it also means that if somebody wants to phone me for a mentoring call or for another part of the business they've got a query with, that part of my calendar is blocked out. When you've looked at those 2 different calendars, the one that you actually do and the one that you like to do, perhaps there are some tweaks that you can make. Perhaps you'll see that between those 2 sets of calendars, there's actually a few things that you really don't need to be doing. Or there's things you do need to be doing, in which case you're going to have to make some sacrifices. And I've spoken about this in previous emails. Another tip that I would have is to make sure you have a gear change in between each activity. So, for example, let's say you've been sitting at your desk doing some emails, and then in your calendar it shows that you need to be going out for a swim, let's say. Well, it's going to take you 15-20 minutes to close down your PC or shut it off or put your papers away, tidy up, and kind of mentally go through that shifting moment where you then think, right, I've got to get my swimming kit, get my towel, go to the pool. You need some time to change gear. Just like a car, when the engine is running on full pelt, it's driving along at, you might be in your 6th gear and you're driving along on the motorway, it's all going really well. Suddenly there's a change up ahead, or you need to get off at the next junction, you've got to slow down, you've got to change gear. When you are looking at time mapping, you need to make sure that you give yourself enough time to change gear between the different activities that you're doing. And my final tip is to make sure that you have some white noise around what you do. The problem if you fill up your diary to the gunnels is that you're not going to have any space for you. Sometimes as humans we need time just to chill, just to relax, not to have actually anything in the diary. If you find that especially hard, you might even want to time map it. I hope this helps you on your journey to success, and I'll speak to you very soon.